So Alhamdulillah for Al-Islam. And we are grateful to Allah that we have the knowledge of Ahlus Sunnati wal Jama'ah, the saved group, which is the group that has the same creed as the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the companions. And it is our connection, and they are our connection to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Without the scholars of Ahlus Sunnah, we would not have the teachings of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam with us today. So continuing on with defending the Prophets, defending the chosen, specifically talking about the attributes of the Prophets and what is necessary for us to believe about the Prophets and what is not permissible to be attributed to the Prophets, and what is valid to attribute to the Prophets, and dispelling slander and lies and fabrications that have been made up about the Prophets. We talked about Prophet Adam alayhi salam, that he's the first prophet and messenger, and this is confirmed in the Quran and in the Hadith that Prophet Adam alayhi salam, he is the first prophet and messenger because he's the first human being. And we also dispel the accusation that Prophet Adam alayhi salam, that he was shaped like an ape, or that he was a Neanderthal, or that he was a caveman, or that he did not know how to speak, etc. Rather, we say that the theory of evolution, it is invalid and it is incorrect, and there's many proofs against it, much evidence against it. And we also talked about Prophet Adam alayhi salam, that it's not true that he named his son Abdul Harith, slave of the devil. That would be blasphemous to attribute to Prophet Adam alayhi salam to any prophet. The prophets, they do not name their children after the shaitan. They are the enemies of the shaitan. And also we talked about Prophet Adam alayhi salam and Lady Eve, that they descended from paradise with clothes on, that they did not walk the earth naked. We also mentioned about during the time of Prophet Adam alayhi salam, that he knew the names of all things on earth, and all his children were Muslim, and all the humans were Muslim. And then we mentioned that after him was his son Sheeth alayhi salam, the next prophet and messenger. And then after him is Prophet Idris alayhi salam. And then after Prophet Idris alayhi salam died, the human beings committed idolatry, shirk, idol worship, worshipping other than Allah. And this was known as the first ignorance era. And during that time, blasphemy and idolatry and idol worship became widespread. And then Allah Ta'ala sent Prophet Nuh alayhi salam. So the Prophet Nuh alayhi salam was the first prophet and messenger that was sent to a group of non-Muslims. He was the first one that was sent to call non-Muslims to Al-Islam, because prior to that, all the human beings were Muslim. So Prophet Adam alayhi salam and Prophet Idris and Prophet Sheeth, they were all sent to the Muslims. And we mentioned that the way that the idol worship occurred is that the shaitan appeared in the shape of someone and lied to the people and told them that their ancestors used to worship these 5 statues that had been erected generations prior to memorialize some righteous, pious Muslims. In their laws, it was permissible to make a statue. Yes, sir. No, after Prophet Idris alayhi salam, the third prophet and messenger. So Prophet Adam alayhi salam, Prophet Sheeth, Prophet Idris. Then after Prophet Idris died, it was the first ignorant era. We also mentioned that no prophet's wife ever committed fornication, that there was never a fornicating wife under the marriage of a prophet. And so among the lies that are said about one of the prophets, specifically Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, is that they claim that his wife committed fornication, and this is not true at all. There is no prophet that there's a fornicating woman under him. As for the ayah, when it says فَخَانَتَاهُمَا فَلَمْ يُغْنِيَا عَنْهُمَا مِنَ اللَّهِ شَيْئًا, this is referring to them not embracing al-Islam. So a prophet's wife, so when a prophet receives revelation, most of the time the wife of that prophet, they support him and they believe in him. But it has occurred that there was the wife of a prophet who did not believe in him. So the wife of Prophet Nuh alayhi salam and the wife of Prophet Lut alayhi salam, they did not believe in them, so they were blasphemers. So what the ayah is referring to, that they betrayed their husband in that, meaning that they did not believe in him, they were not Muslim. But with the meaning of the ayah does not mean that the wife of Prophet Nuh and the wife of Prophet Lut alayhim as-salam committed fornication. This is a lie, and this is not befitting of a prophet to be married to a woman who fornicates. And so when it says about Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, أول الرسل إلى أهل الأرض, so there's a hadith that some people misunderstand it and they think that it means that Prophet Nuh alayhi salam is the first messenger sent to the people of the earth. The meaning is the relative first, not the first of all, or the absolute first. Because before him was Prophet Adam alayhi salam, after Prophet Adam was Prophet Sheeth alayhi salam, after him was Prophet Idris alayhi salam, then the first ignorance era, and then Prophet Nuh alayhi salam. So the relative firstness is referring to Prophet Nuh alayhi salam being the first prophet and messenger sent to people on earth that were not Muslim, people on earth that had committed blasphemy. So he was calling them to return to al-Islam. Now we're going to mention some of what has been said and slandered and fabricated about Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. So the story of Prophet Abraham alayhi salam is among the most beautiful stories that have passed in the history of the prophets, and it has been filled with many honorable lessons and many beneficial lessons to be learned. But because of the fabrications of the Israelites, they mentioned many ugly lies about him that we're obligated to clarify and show that they are incorrect and that they are invalid. And we have to warn against them so that the people can distinguish between truth and falsehood. So first of all, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he was Hanif, a Muslim Hanif, and he was not among the idolaters. He was not among the idol worshippers. So Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, like the rest of the prophets, from the moment that they're born until the moment that they die, they are Muslims, mu'mins, Muslims, believers, knowing about God and clearing Allah from any imperfection and clearing Allah from resembling the creations. Allah Ta'ala revealed, وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ رُشْدَهُ مِنْ قَبْلِ وَكُنَّا بِهِ عَالِمِينَ. So it means before Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam received the revelation, from when he was young, from when he was little, he had the guidance and he had the guided instruction. And he knew what was correct. He did not worship a statue, nor did he worship the stars. Rather, he was inspired to have the Tawheed and to believe that Allah is the only creator, and to believe in the Tanzih, which is to clear Allah from all imperfection, and to worship the Creator who is one and the only Creator, the one who does not beget and is not begotten, and the one who has no similar. So Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, like all the prophets, they had the correct creed because they are sent by Allah to teach the correct creed to the people. So Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he is a prophet and a messenger and impeccable and infallible, and he is protected from the tendency to be misguided. He is protected from the corruption of the heart. He is protected from worshipping other than Allah. Allah Ta'ala bestowed upon him guidance and being correct. And the status of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam is the status of as-siddiqiyya, which is a very high status of being accepted by Allah. And so he would never doubt about the godhood of Allah. He would never doubt that Allah is the only one that deserves to be worshipped. And it is not true what is attributed to Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, which would be blasphemous to attribute to him. Some people say about him that he sold the idols, that he used to sell the idols with his father, Azar. His father's name was Azar, and he was the father, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. He was a mushrik, he was an idol worshipper, and he himself was the one who used to make the idols and sculpt the idols and sell them. And he would worship them and he would sell them. Na'udhu billah. Rather, our Master Ibrahim alayhi salam, he used to warn his father and order his father not to worship the idols. And this is documented in the Quran and established in the Quran. إذ قال لأبيه وقومه ما هذه التماثيل التي أنتم لها عاكفون قالوا وجدنا آباءنا لها عابدين قال لقد كنتم أنتم وآباؤكم في ضلال مبين قالوا أجئتنا بالحق أم أنت من اللاعبين قال بل ربكم رب السماوات والأرض الذي فطرهن وأنا على ذلكم من الشاهدين. So in these ayat, it is very explicit. Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam told his father and his people, the Babylonians, called them to al-Islam, and using rhetoric with them and telling them that these idols, they do not deserve to be worshipped. Like, what are you doing? Why are you worshipping these idols? What are these idols you're worshipping? And rejecting, negating. And so their response, the response of the people of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, instead of taking heed, instead of letting that rhetoric trigger something within their minds and make it click for them that they should not be worshipping these things, that it is ridiculous to worship these idols, instead those people, they came up with an excuse, or they made an excuse for themselves, and they said that they found their forefathers worshipping these idols. So they're basically saying, we were born into this, our tradition, our ancestors, this is what they did. And of course, you know, the Babylonians, they were heavy into idol worship, and they worshipped the sun and the moon and the stars, and they were into the occult and the dark sorcery. And so Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam informed them that they and their forefathers are greatly misguided, that they have gone into an obvious misguidance. And so the ayat, the final ayah, is referring to Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, telling them explicitly that their creator is the creator of the heavens and the earth, the one who created all of that, that Prophet Ibrahim is telling them they have to worship Allah only. And so his calling them to al-Islam will be testimony against them on Judgment Day, and if they do not accept. And other ayat that specifically name Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam as a Muslim, and other ayat that show that Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam would try with his father to get him to embrace al-Islam. So from these ayat, it is clear that Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he explained to his father the invalidity of idol worship, and that he should not worship the statues, and that he should embrace al-Islam. And he used rhetoric, yani the rational evidence. He told his father, Ya abati lima ta'budu ma la yasma'u wa la yubsiru wa la yughni anka shay'a. Which means, oh father, why do you worship something that does not hear, something that does not see, and something that cannot do anything for you. Meaning, these things don't deserve to be worshipped. They don't provide you sustenance. They're just inanimate rocks. And the likes of that does not benefit and does not harm. So Azar, the father of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he did not accept the advice of his son, the Prophet of God Ibrahim alayhi salam, and he did not answer his call. Rather, he was arrogant and he was insisting on remaining in the falsehood, and he was stubborn, and he threatened his son with evil and with killing him and with throwing rocks at him, just as it is documented in the Quran. So basically, the response of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam's father was a violent response. He was hostile towards his own son. And here, when in this situation, when he was hostile towards his son, something occurred that some people misunderstand. And some people think, which is incorrect, they think that Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam asked Allah to forgive his father while he is in a state of idol worship. So some people, they misunderstood and they thought that Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam was asking Allah to forgive his father while he is a mushrik, while he is a non-Muslim. And this is incorrect, against the reality. Of course, it's blasphemy to attribute that to a prophet, and it is against the laws of Islam. As for the ayah referring to something that Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam said to his father, قَالَ سَلَامٌ عَلَيْكَ سَأَسْتَغْفِرُ لَكَ رَبِّي إِنَّهُ كَانَ بِي حَفِيًّا. It means, I will not harm you, I will not do anything bad to you, and no harm from me will reach you. That part where he says Salamun alayk, and then the part where it says Sa'astaghfiru laka Rabbi, it means I will ask Allah to guide you to Al-Islam, and by you embracing Al-Islam you would be forgiven from your blasphemy. And it does not mean that I am asking for God to forgive you while you are still a kafir. So the meaning of the ayah, إِنَّهُ كَانَ بِي حَفِيًّا, that part, it means that Allah Ta'ala accepts Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and grants him what he asks. And so the meaning of Prophet Ibrahim asking Allah to make his father embrace al-Islam and therefore forgive his blasphemy, that's the meaning of the part سَأَسْتَغْفِرُ لَكَ رَبِّي. And it does not mean that Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam was asking Allah to forgive his father while he is in a state of blasphemy. And the same way, the ayah وَاغْفِرْ لِأَبِي إِنَّهُ كَانَ مِنَ الضَّالِّينَ has the same meaning. O Lord, make my father embrace al-Islam, and so forgiving him for his blasphemy, make his chest and his heart open to al-Islam. And this is while the father, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, was still alive, He had not yet died as a kafir. When it was evident to Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam that his father will not embrace al-Islam and that he will die as a kafir, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam disassociated himself from his father. وَمَا كَانَ اسْتِغْفَارُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ لِأَبِيهِ إِلَّا عَن مَّوْعِدَةٍ وَعَدَهَا إِيَّاهُ فَلَمَّا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُ أَنَّهُ عَدُوٌّ لِلَّهِ تَبَرَّأَ مِنْهُ إِنَّ إِبْرَاهِيمَ لَأَوَّاهٌ حَلِيمٌ. So this ayah tells us that when it became clear to Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam that his father would die as a kafir, he disassociated himself from him. Also, among the slander that is said about Prophet Ibrahim and the things that are not true that are said about Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and is blasphemous to attribute to him is that some people accuse Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam of worshipping the stars, and this is obvious blasphemy, obvious misguidance, because it is attributing idol worship and blasphemy to an honored prophet that has been protected by his Lord from birth from ever falling into blasphemy. And the prophets, they are impeccable, infallible from being misguided. And so, to clarify this matter, let us start from the beginning. So we say, the people of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, they worship the stars besides Allah. And if they did not worship Allah, they worship the stars, they worship the planets. So our Master Ibrahim alayhi salam, he wanted to show his people that their worship of those creations is invalid and corrupt, and that those creations are not suitable to be worshipped. They don't deserve to be worshipped at all, because they are creations, because they are in need, because they change. And so sometimes they come out and they rise and they show, and then they set and are concealed. And whatever is like that will not be God, because it is in need of the one who makes it change. And that is Allah. Allah is the one who makes the creations change. The one who has no beginning and no end. The one who does not change and does not end and does not die. There is no God but Him. There is no creator except Allah. So the ayat, وَكَذَلِكَ نُرِي إِبْرَاهِيمَ مَلَكُوتَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَلِيَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُوقِنِينَ فَلَمَّا جَنَّ عَلَيْهِ اللَّيْلُ رَأَى كَوْكَبًا قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي فَلَمَّا أَفَلَ قَالَ لَا أُحِبُّ الْآفِلِينَ فَلَمَّا رَأَى الْقَمَرَ بَازِغًا قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي فَلَمَّا أَفَلَ قَالَ لَئِن لَّمْ يَهْدِنِي رَبِّي لَأَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الضَّالِّينَ فَلَمَّا رَأَى الشَّمْسَ بَازِغَةً قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي هَذَا أَكْبَرُ فَلَمَّا أَفَلَتْ قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ إِنِّي بَرِيءٌ مِّمَّا تُشْرِكُونَ إني وجهت وجهي للذي فطر السماوات والأرض حنيفا وما أنا من المشركين. So these ayat, they tell us that Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam was shown by Allah some of the celestial bodies, so that seeing those things makes the certainty in the heart of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam grow even more. And so Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he said in the ayat first about the star, هذا ربي, and then about the moon, هذا ربي, and then about the sun, هذا ربي, this was a rhetorical thing. And the same way when someone, they tell you the food at such and such restaurant is so good, you have to try it, you have to go, you have to come, and they hype it up every time that they see you and they tell you, did you eat there, did you try it? And then they say, I'll take you, and then they take you, and then they tell you, or then they try it, and it's actually bad quality food, and they say, this is good food, this is a good restaurant, this is the best restaurant, meaning they're negating that through that statement. And it's a negative interrogative, it is a negating type of rhetoric. So it's as if Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam was saying, is this my Lord as you claim? Because his people, they used to worship the sun, moon and stars. So one of the proofs for that is the part in the ayah, La uhibbul afilin. So every time, so when the star showed up, he would ask that rhetorical question or mention that rhetoric, and then he would say, I do not like what changes, meaning this thing is not deserving of worship. So he said that with each one of those instances. La uhibbul afilin, it means this does not deserve to be worshipped. The star does not deserve to be worshipped because it changes, it goes away. How do you believe in that? How do you worship that? And when his people, they did not get the message and they remained worshipping that, so then Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he saw the moon, he said the same thing, and they still didn't get it. And when he saw the sun, he said the same thing to them, and they still insisted on worshipping those things, and they still insisted on associating partners with Allah. As for Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he was a believer and he knows Allah and he has the correct belief in Allah like the rest of the prophets. He is a messenger of God, so he does not doubt about the existence of Allah even for a moment. And he knew that Allah is the creator of everything, and that there is no creator other than Allah, and that nothing is rightfully worshipped except Allah. And he was not like some ignorant people and misguided people say about him when they slander him and they lie and they fabricate, that Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam went through some time periods where he doubted about the existence of Allah. Wal-'iyadhu billah. Because all of the prophets, it is impossible that they commit blasphemy before prophethood and after prophethood, because they were sent as guides to teach the people the goodness and what is in their best interest religiously and in the worldly matters. So the truth is that Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, before he debated his people and before he presented the evidence to them and silenced them, and before he called them to al-Islam, he knew with a certain knowledge, without any doubt, that he has a Lord, that he has a Creator, and that Creator is Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, the one who does not resemble anything, the Creator of everything. And the proof for that is from the Quran. وَتِلْكَ حُجَّتُنَا آتَيْنَاهَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ عَلَى قَوْمِهِ نَرْفَعُ دَرَجَاتٍ مَّن نَّشَاءُ إِنَّ رَبَّكَ حَكِيمٌ عَلِيمٌ. So this ayah is telling us that Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam was inspired to have the correct creed even before Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam went to his people. And Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he had the proofs. And among those who have gone astray in this case, and some people, and among those who they committed blasphemy because they slandered Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, and they claimed that Prophet Ibrahim used to doubt about the existence of Allah, wal-'iyadhu billah, is a person named Sayyid Qutb al-Misri, the Egyptian Sayyid Qutb. He died in the year 1387 after the Hijrah. Right now we're in the year 1446. So you can make out the, do the math on that. He graduated from a university called Darul Ulum in Cairo in 1934. And he worked at a newspaper called Al-Ahram, which means the pyramids. And he wrote for two magazines, one called Al-Risala and another one called Al-Thaqafa. And he was specified to be a teacher of Arabic language and in the Ministry of Education. Then he went to study in America, from the year 1948 to 1951. When he returned from there, he started to criticize the Egyptian programs, and he used to say that these were planted by the British. And he joined a group called Hizbul Ikhwan, the so-called Brotherhood. And so he became one of their heads, or he became like the president or the head of the division called the Division of Spreading the Da'wah. And he took over running their newspaper that they called Tahrir. Or no, he became the editor of their newspaper from the year 1953 to 1954. And he was imprisoned with them. While in prison, he began to write books and distribute them until he was convicted to be executed, and then he was executed. Among the books that he authored that are filled with blasphemy and misguidance and corruption and contradicting Islam is the book that he called Al-Adala Al-Ijtima'iyya fil Islam, which loosely translated, and he called it the social justice in Islam. And another book he wrote called At-Taswir Al-Fanni fil Quran, which loosely translated is the artistic depiction of the Quran, or an artistic imaging of the Quran, and another book called Fi Dhilal al-Quran, which means in the shades of the Quran, and another book called Ma'alim fi al-Tariq. So he wrote many books. These books are filled with blasphemy. Na'udhu billah. May Allah protect us. So, which book did he say this blasphemy in that we're going to mention? In the book that he called At-Taswir Al-Fanni Fil Quran, which he called the artistic imaging, or the artistic picture of the Quran, or imagining the Quran in an artistic way. On page 133, he said, and Abraham, this is like the style and way that he used to like write in that book, and he said, the story of Na'udhu billah, this is all corrupt, and what he wrote is blasphemy. He said, and Abraham, his story begins as a young man looking at the sky, and so he sees a star and he thinks it is his God. And when it goes away, he says, I do not like what changes. And then he looks a second time and he sees the moon and he thinks it is his Lord. But then the moon goes away, and so he abandons it as well. And he continues, and then he looks at the sun, and he is amazed by the sun, how it's so big, and he thinks that this is without a doubt his God. But then it disappoints him, his thought or his assumption also, and because it goes away. That's the type of writing that Sayyid Qutb had in his book. He was talking like that about the prophets, na'udhu billah. So, of course, it's blasphemous to say that about Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. And you can imagine how many people they have access to that book, even in English, and how many people they claim that about Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, that they claim that he doubted about the existence of Allah, and that he was like, a'udhu billah, as they claim, soul searching and trying to find what is correct, na'udhu billah. So it's that's one of the blasphemous lies that is said about Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. It is not true that he worshipped the sun, moon, and the stars, and it is not true that he doubted about the existence of Allah, and it is not true that he sold idols with his father. Another lie that is said about Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam is that some misguided people, they claim that Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, that he lied. And it is impossible that a prophet would lie. Prophets are protected from lying because it would negate prophethood. If a prophet lied, this would tarnish their credibility. So prophets are protected from lying. And so some people, they have attributed to Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam that he lied many times to his people, na'udhu billah. And that is when they claim, they claim that Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam lied when he said to his people that he is saqim. When Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam destroyed their idols and he turned them into bits, and he attributed the action of that to the big idols. So here, and it's important part to understand, and this is legitimate and correct, about Prophet Ibrahim, that he did destroy those idols and he did break them into bits. And in a rhetorical fashion, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, to show them that they are wrong for worshipping those statues, he attributed the breaking of those statues, the small statues, to one of their big idols. So when Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he told his people, and his people, they asked him about those idols being broken, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he attributed the breaking of those little idols to the big idol. And another time, and that some people claim that Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam lied, which is not correct, and it's not true that he lied, is when Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he told the evil king, the evil tyrannical king, when that evil king tried to kidnap his wife, the wife of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, Sarah, Prophet Ibrahim said about her that she's his sister. So how do we respond to the people that claim that Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam lied when he said that he is saqim, and when Prophet Ibrahim attributed the breaking of the small idols to the large idol, and when Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam told the tyrant ruler that Lady Sarah is his sister? So the answer to that is, when Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam saw that his people, that they remained attached to worshipping the idols, he made the firm intention to make a plan to do something to those idols that would show his people the evidence that they needed to see, so that they would stop worshipping those idols, and that they would wake up from their heedlessness, and that they would embrace al-Islam. And so when it was time for the Babylonians to have their festival of debauchery and immorality, and when they went out of their land to go to their festival and their carnival and whatever the place that they were with, he told his people that he is saqim, because he wanted to stay behind so that he can break the idols, and so he can show them the evidence that their worship of those idols is invalid and incorrect. So the ayah says, فَنَظَرَ نَظْرَةً فِي النُّجُومِ فَقَالَ إِنِّي سَقِيمٌ وَتَوَلَّوْا عَنْهُ مُدْبِرِينَ. So the meaning of what Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he said inni saqim, it means I will be inflicted with a sickness, or I will get sick. And so this is not a lie that Prophet Ibrahim said, because the fever used to come to him, and then the fever would go away, and then the fever would come back. So when his people asked him to go out with them to their festival and their carnival, during that time, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam was in the time of the fever. And so when those people left to do their festival, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he said, وَتَاللَّهِ لَأَكِيدَنَّ أَصْنَامَكُمْ بَعْدَ أَن تُوَلُّوا مُدْبِرِينَ. So Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he went to where they kept their idols. And so Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, there was a big idol there, and then next to it were small idols lined up next to each other. And so he saw that they had made food for these statues that they put in front of the idols. So when Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam looked at what the idols had in their hands of food that their people had put there as a sacrifice to them, he saw the foolishness of their minds. And so he addressed those idols and he said to them sarcastically and to humiliate them, to mock them, أَلَا تَأْكُلُونَ, and meaning, won't you eat? And so when they did not answer, he said also in the sense of mockery and degrading, مَا لَكُمْ لَا تَنْطِقُونَ فَرَاغَ عَلَيْهِمْ ضَرْبًا بِالْيَمِينِ. So basically he took an axe with his right hand and he started hitting the idols and breaking them and destroying the rocks of the idols, yani pulverizing them. And it's mentioned in the Quran, فَجَعَلَهُمْ جُذَاذًا, meaning they were broken into pieces. And he remained like that until he made all of them broken into pieces except the biggest one, and he did not destroy it. إِلَّا كَبِيرًا لَهُمْ لَعَلَّهُمْ إِلَيْهِ يَرْجِعُونَ. And so this ayah mentions that Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he did not destroy the big idol. And then Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he put the axe on the neck of the idol so that when they go to it, and it would be obvious to them that it does not speak and it does not have a mind and it does not defend itself from harm. And so by this, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam would have established the evidence against his non-Muslim people that worshipped these idols without any proof or evidence and without any guidance, just out of imitating their forefathers. So when his people returned from their festival and they found what had occurred to their idols, they became refuted and astonished, and it shocked them what they saw of their idols. So Allah Ta'ala revealed about their situation. قالوا من فعل هذا بآلهتنا إنه لمن الظالمين قالوا سمعنا فتى يذكرهم يقال له إبراهيم. So this ayah is referring to the fact that those people, when they saw that, they said, who did this to our gods? Indeed, he is a tyrant, yani the one who did that. Na'udhu billah. And they said, we heard about a young man that used to mention them, disparage them, that is called Ibrahim. So they heard that there was a young man who insulted them and degraded them and mocked them, and so they thought that he is the one who did this and broke them. And so that news, it reached the king Nimrod, the tyrannical king, the one who ruled over those lands. And he ruled over the elites of his people. So those people, they wanted Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam to be present And so Prophet Ibrahim, he presented himself, and the people, they gathered so they could hear what he has to say. And this was in one place. They all waited for him there. And so this would be an opportunity for those people to hear the truth, so that all of them would hear the rhetoric that would prove that what they're doing is invalid and incorrect. That they would realize that what they are doing of worshiping the idols is incorrect. So the place was filled with people. And all those people, they wanted to execute Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, the Prophet of God, the one who had degraded and belittled their statues. So they came to Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and that large crowd of people in front of their tyrant king Nimrod, and they asked him. And so they said what Allah Ta'ala informs us about in the Quran. قالوا أأنت فعلت هذا بآلهتنا يا إبراهيم, which means they said, did you do this to our gods, O Ibrahim? And here the Prophet of God Ibrahim, he found the opportunity presented to him to prove to them with evidence and to present the proof against them, to show them in an obvious way the ridiculousness of their creed and the invalidity of their religion. And so he said what is documented in the verse, قَالَ بَلْ فَعَلَهُ كَبِيرُهُمْ هَذَا فَاسْأَلُوهُمْ إِن كَانُوا يَنطِقُونَ. So this is a rhetorical checkmate that necessitates for the evidence to be against the idol worshippers, because the idols are inanimate objects that they are not able to speak, and that these idols, they do not deserve to be worshipped because they do not create any harm nor benefit, nor do they provide anything at all. So let it be known that when Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he said what is documented in the Quran, بَلْ فَعَلَهُ كَبِيرُهُمْ هَذَا, this is not a lie. Rather, it is truth. Literally, internally and in reality, internally and externally. Because the big idol is what pushed Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam to destroy the other idols, due to the great disturbance and annoyance that the big idol caused in Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. So he attributed the action of that to the idol in the intellectually metaphorical way, and it is a style of rhetoric that is commonly used and frequently used. And so Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he attributed the action to the reason for the action he attributed the action to the cause of the action taking place, and that was not and that was only for the purpose of, or that it only occurred because of their exaggeration in honoring and aggrandizing those idols and beautifying their image. And so that pushed him to break the small idols and to mock and degrade the biggest idol. Because they were sure that they verified that the biggest idol that they had, and which was also the one that they held in the highest regard, they had to admit that in their hearts that this was an image or creation or an inanimate object, that, and it was just something that they desired to worship, and it did not protect their idols, and it did not ward any harm from itself. And so the proof is established, and it has become clear that they are misguided and that they are astray. And so by attributing the action to the biggest one, the metaphorical attribution, there is no lying in that. Because the prophets, it is impossible that they lie, because among what is necessary to be among their attributes is honesty and truthfulness. And so the prophets, they do not lie, and Allah Ta'ala knows best. We'll continue with more about Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam.